Hello, this is AnlineOffline, and welcome back to another Casual's Quick Guide to Call of Duty Mobile. For today's video, we'll be covering the PPSh-41. Introduced in Season 1 of 2022, the PPSh-41 is a Soviet SMG mostly used during the Second World War. Subsequently, it has appeared in almost all of the Call of Duty games set in World War II, but not the third due to its lack of a Soviet campaign. It has also reappeared in Black Ops 3 and Cold War. However, in Black Ops 3's case, it was locked behind supply drops. The PPSh is a wartime innovation of its predecessor, the PPD-40. The PPD, or Pistolét-pulemyót was developed by Vasily Degtyaryov in 1934, who had previously worked on the DP-27 light machine gun. Although adopted, higher-ups within the Red Army snubbed the idea of an SMG, and not many were produced. This mistake proved to be an embarrassment during the Winter War, as their Finnish rivals were able to outmaneuver them in forested close quarters with their Suomi KP-31s. Although Soviet victory was Pyrrhic, it proved to be a learning lesson in the value of individual automatics, and led to the adoption of drum magazines for the PPD. It's also where the Nazis got the idea to preemptively invade the Soviet Union. There was one flaw with the PPD. It was expensive and time-consuming to produce on a large scale. Georgy Shpágina improved upon the PPD with the PPSh, which was more accurate and used stamped steel instead of milled, making it more easily mass-produced. With over 6 million Pepesh produced, it might be the most used SMG during World War II. Early prototypes were reliable, but when faced with all-out warfare, the standards for what was acceptable were lowered, and issues with the drum magazine arose. A later, more basic variant was developed by Alexei Sudayev that had a much more conservative fire rate. The PPS-43 was famously used in repelling the siege of Leningrad. It was intended to replace the PPSh, but the latter remained more popular. The Pistolét-pulemyót style of SMG continued to be used and produced by Second World countries during the Cold War, but at home it was replaced in favor of a new breed of firearms under the name of Kalashnikov. Base damage per shot is low, but has very little damage drop-off. Unlike some SMGs that may deal reduced damage to the legs, the PPSh has no such body multipliers and will deal additional damage above the waistline, thus allowing it to kill in 4 shots up close and 6 to the legs at most. Combined with its fast fire rate of 822 rounds per minute, the PPSh is potentially one of the fastest killing weapons at any range, without any detrimental body multipliers. That is, if you're accurate. In terms of bloom, the Burp Gun is below average, one of the worst actually, severely limiting its long-range potential. Although buffed, the mostly horizontal recoil is still not suitable for longer ranges. In close range, however, its hipfire performance is better than average, and unlike most weapons which may have 3 attachments to improve its hipfire performance, a muzzle, a laser, and a foregrip, PPSh has access to a 4th in the form of a barrel. Iron sights are as simple as you can get. Flinch is about what you expect from an SMG. As for base mobility, the PPSh is all around slower than average for the SMG class. Sprinting and strafing are tied for the slowest in the SMG class, but still above that of ARs. ADS speed is also slightly slower than average. Sprint out time is comparable to an average AR and shotguns. Reloading might be a little awkward. The full animation is nearly equal for both empty and tactical reloads. Reload cancelling is quite slower with the partial mag than with an empty mag. Luckily, the PPSh has a plethora of attachments to increase its mobility, including smaller magazines. When the PPSh was first released, it had a much more difficult recoil pattern, but that's been recently buffed. Is it good enough to be meta in multiplayer? Almost. I think it's a top 5 SMG with the Switchblade MAC-10 and KSP ahead, and maybe even with the QQ9. You have a lot of options for Gunsmith builds. You can go for a balanced versatile build, or a min-max style. You can build it for max mobility, max hipfire performance, or max bloom and horizontal recoil control to take advantage of its potential time to kill at range. Any changes? Not really. Maybe an improved recoil cancel? But hey, that's just my opinion. This has been a Casual's quick guide. Feel free to suggest what weapons you want to see covered next. My name is On, and I'm off.